Sun in Aquarius, and the moon in Capricorn. I have some notes here that I'm going to share. And then we'll get into a little freestyle sharing a chart, looking at the dynamics of this energy and some of the other planets that are involved in this energy. Do a little bit of readings. So subscribe, grab some popcorn. I would say grab some chips, but I don't know. My body's not responding too well to chips, but we'll save that for another video. Okay. Here, freestyle. My notes here. Sun in Aquarius, moon in Capricorn. Both lights are in Saturn ruled signs. That immediately emphasizes structure, reality, responsibility, and long term vision. This is not a soft emotional energy. It's future vision, Aquarius, grounded through practical discipline, Capricorn. Emotionally, moon, so moon has to do with the emotions. The tone is sober. Consciously, consciousness correlates to the sun. The focus is progressive. Aquarius is a progressive sign, that's for sure. This creates a sky that's innovation that says innovation must be real. Saturn at 29 degrees Pisces. Listen to this. Saturn is finishing its time in Pisces. Congratulations for all those who were born when the sun was in Pisces. Congratulations to all those who have planets in Pisces. Graduation time. The final degree is a completion point. In a sense, there's a completion energetic to Saturn at 29 degrees of Pisces. Today is the last day. Saturn in Pisces has been asking, can ideals become reality? Can compassion be structured? Can dreams be made responsible? Saturn at 29 degrees. At 29 degrees, this becomes time to lock in. Reset. This is huge. We move Pisces, surrender, to Aries, action. Let's get it going. So vision must act now. Uranus and Taurus square the sun in Aquarius. This is another feature. Uranus is highlighted because the fact that the sun is in Aquarius. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. There's a little bit of tension. Aquarius sun, future systems. Uranus and Taurus, disruption of material values. Sometimes it's challenging. There's a little bit of a tension and challenge to see yourself in future experiences and the current financial position or the financial position or the financial status for the future. Some little bit of tension there. A square aspect asks, are your ideals aligned with what you actually value? Because Taurus rules money, security, resources, stability, the body, land, tangible worth. Uranus and Taurus here is shaking. What do you think is secure? So Aquarius vision may want progress, but Taurus asks at what cost? Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to read that again. Uranus and Taurus at the same time it squares Aquarius. Your Uranus here is shaking. What do you think is secure? Some questioning going on. So Aquarius vision may want progress, but Taurus asks at what cost? Uranus is shaking things up, but how much do I get? How long and how much does it cost that I have to go through this situation? So there becomes this rulership paradox. Samantha, good morning. How are you? Welcome in. Even though Uranus challenges the sun by square, it still rules Aquarius. So the friction is constructive. This is awakening through tension. Ooh, good one. Your ideals must pass a reality test in the material world. Uranus moves into Gemini April 26th. I know this is futuristic looking into, but want to get an idea because Uranus moving to Gemini April 26th, the sun is in Taurus. So it speaks and comes back to the idea of values. If Uranus is shaking things up in the zodiac sign of values, then it's kind of like not being comfortable with things being shaky, but kind of going with it, like accepting it and allowing that shakiness to be an experience that prepares you for the shake, not for nothing, you know, not to lose yourself in the shakiness of our securities. That's an interesting feature. We're gonna have to go a little deeper on that one, not for nothing. We have until April. This is for all the Tauruses. That's interesting here. I'm gonna share this with my daughter for sure. So Uranus moves to Gemini April 26th. The shift from Taurus, material values, to Gemini, mental values. It's interesting how the wave from Taurus to Gemini, material values to mental values. The disruption, Uranus, moves from what do we own to how do we think? Ownership and thought processes. This goes back to mindset and the nervous system, too. We're going to hear a lot in the upcoming 8 years, right? It's already started because Uranus was already in Gemini. It took a dive, a splash back in retrograded back into Taurus. So it still has that Gemini feel to it. But we're going to see a lot of nervous system, a reactivation of nervous system practices to regulate the system. Stay tapped in. This disruption moves from what do we own to how do we think, quite simply. And the sun will be in Taurus then. So the spotlight turns to personal values under intellectual revolution. Interesting. Values under intellectual revolution. We're experiencing an intellectual revolution by the shift from Uranus, from Taurus to Uranus and Gemini. So here's the core of the story, and I'm gonna show some demonstrations in the charts potentially. See how this goes. Right now, Uranus is in Taurus, redefining material value. Aquarius, Sun, redefining societal value. Capricorn, Moon, emotionally invested in stability. Saturn leaving Pisces, ending fantasy about value. Saturn entering Aries today into tomorrow, forcing action based on value. Saturn moving back into Aries. It has already been there. Uranus entering Gemini, shifting value from matter to mind. We are moving from security to possessions, to security equaling adaptability, and eventually security equaling understanding. The sky is asking, are your ideals supported by your actual values? And soon, are your values flexible enough for new thinking? That's beautiful. So at this time, I want to open it up. Well, before I open it up, let me pull up a chart here. Exhibit A here. This is what we have. And we're going to look at what I just read in picture form. We did the literal. Now we're going to look at the picture. And then we're going to get into some demonstrations. So feel free to put your zodiac sign in the comments. If you're over here on TikTok, I'm over here on YouTube. Same name, same lab coat, same brown face. Sun in Aquarius. Aquarius is progressive. Aquarius is an air sign. Before it's even an air sign, each zodiac sign has a positive and a negative, a masculine and a feminine, or um, yeah, masculine, positive or negative. Not negative like bad negative, negative like reserved. Welcome in. For example, Taurus. Taurus, we were just talking about Taurus. So this a lot of this reading that I just shared speaks to you. Good morning, Nikki. How are you? Welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the like. Taurus here, right? We talked about this. It's been a little shaky. Things have been disrupted for you, Tauruses, potentially, if we're looking at the story in the skies by the symbolism of Uranus. Uranus is now at 27 degrees of Taurus. It was in Gemini back, I want to say like 6 months ago, but then it dipped back into Taurus. Like, we're going to go back into Taurus a little bit and make sure and see if Taurus can actually use their mindset and their thinking. That's an interesting piece right there, not for nothing and for something at the same time. Do you notice that, Tauruses? Do you notice that you feel this for the past 7 years? You've recognized this roller coaster energy when it comes to your values, money, and things that you value. And then Uranus went into Gemini, right around that time, then all this AI stuff started coming out, popping out, pow, 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 pow. And Uranus was like, just kidding. Let me dip back into Taurus real quick and bring this mindset, thoughtful energy back into values to see if Taurus can utilize their mind and not get caught up in their comforts. What does that look like? It looks like, let's say you're used to going to the store every Friday to get a Kit Kat, right? Every Friday, Kit Kat, every Friday, Kit Kat, Friday, Kit Kat, Friday, Kit, Friday, Kit, Friday, Kit, Friday. And that gets disrupted where you can't get that Kit Kat. First of all, it's changing the pathway, right? But it's getting comfortable with that. Are you the type of person that says, oh, life is terrible. I can't get my Kit Kat? Or are you one to say, how can I improvise and use my mind to get something similar? Or is this a message that's saying maybe I need to, switch to something else and just flow with the roller coaster? You know what I'm saying? Flow with it. Uranus is now direct, which means it's headed back towards Gemini. and it will be there in approximately 1, 2, 3 months, 2, 3 months, April 24th ish. Okay. So there's that energy. We talked about Taurus in here, and it's highlighted here for the next it's been highlighted for the past 3 weeks for Tauruses. What does that mean? It means that for you Tauruses, you've been re-examining a little more closely, you know, how aware you more aware and experiences in your life potentially have been showing face, which it appears to be forcing you to take a look at how you're shaken up when it comes to your security. The things that you thought were there forever, they don't look so forevering. Forevering. They don't look like they're so, it looks unstable. It looks like things are going to change a little bit. I thought this was going to be forever. Things like that. So it's interesting because Uranus and Taurus, the sun in Aquarius, that's the conversation that's going on. If you look at the number here, the sun is at 25 degrees, Uranus is at 27 degrees. So energetically, over the course of the next 4 days, there's a little bit of tension, a little bit where Taurus is you might need to stretch yourself a little bit. That's the remedy when things are tense. What I recognized, what I'm recognizing and I'm learning that when you're experiencing tension, the benefit is to stretch through the tension. Because when you stretch, let's say like you're getting ready for a marathon, you would stretch a little bit or warm up to loosen up the muscles so that they can handle the tense run that you're going to do, the marathon that you're going to do, right? Over the course of the next 4 days, energetically, there's a tension between values and your future vision for yourself for said value. And so that works as constructive, right? But you got to be able to stretch through the tense parts energetically. That's what that is. All right. So that's the sun in Aquarius, Uranus, and Taurus. This energy is 4, 5 days. Um, Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. This is why it's even important. And by the sun being in Aquarius, the sun is a light, shines a light there on knowledge and truth, which is the core message, the loudest message going on right now. And some of that light and that knowledge is shared with values. And so Aquarius also has a co ruler, which is Saturn, and Saturn is in Pisces. So we have Saturn and Uranus both being powered by the sun, being powered by the sun. Um, let's see here. What else do we have? Aries sun, Scorpio moon. Are you still here? Do we still have Aries here? Aries here, spring sign, Saturn at the 29th degree. I talked about that earlier in the reading that I did. The last day of Saturn and Pisces getting ready to go into Aries. This is not the first time. Saturn has been in Aries. It dipped back into Pisces, kind of to bring this energetic and share with Pisces this action, take action energy. Right? Let's see if we can go back here real quick. Approximately. August, August of 2025, Saturn was in Aries. Saturn got to the first degree of Aries. Actually, it was like June. June, July, and August, Saturn dipped back into Pisces. Excuse me, June, July, and August, Saturn was in Aries. And then in September, it splashed back into. That's interesting. That is interesting. That paying attention to that a little bit closer is it could provide some benefit to this Saturn and Aries transit for those who are Aries. I got a little bit of chill there. That's actually a piece that I'm of the mind that would be very special and descriptive in the interpretation for Aries, suns, moons, rising signs. When we go back in time a little bit and we look at the movement of Saturn, the time frame, because everything happens for a reason. I've recognized this for a while. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens at a specific time, and the time that a thing happens has a message to it. That's a lot of what astrology is. But what I'm trying to say moving forward, Aries, how do you fit into this whole picture here? Right? Aries has Aquarius in the 11th house. So it has to do with your ideals and your goals. For the past 3 weeks, there's been a focus on your ideals, right? And quite specifically, with this relationship of Uranus and Taurus and the Sun in Aquarius, the stellium in Aquarius, not for nothing. There's a lot of focus on your values, a lot, a lot of focus on your values. And now with the moon in Capricorn, kind of adds this flair of um, looking for structure and stability with your career, your reputation, and at the workplace. Not for nothing. That's Aries. The Scorpio moon, it's quite intense. It is quite intense, and it's kind of involved with this relationship between Scorpio and Taurus. Scorpio is affected a little bit by Uranus and Taurus, right? So it has some letting go energetic to it, the need to let go, forgiving yourself, quite simply, because some of the shadow sides of Scorpio may come out with Uranus and Taurus because of the opposition. You're teeter tottering, if you will, when it comes to your emotions. Okay. But let's move on to next. Got any advice for Sagittarius? Sure. Got some advice for Sagittarius. Let's talk about Sagittarius a little bit, a little demonstration. Sagittarius is here, right? Aquarius is here. Sagittarius 1, Capricorn 2, Aquarius 3. The third, the mindset. It's the mindset for Aquarius is for the past 3 weeks. How you speak, you've been keyed in, hyper focused on how people speak to you. Hey, don't talk to me like that. Watch your mouth. Like experiences like that. Oh wow, I got a lot of ideas popping up. Bow, boom, boom, bow. This new moon that's coming up speaks to that, highlights that a little bit, right? A little bit there. This relationship that I'm talking about between Aquarius, Sun and Aquarius, and Uranus and Taurus, that highlights the mindset as well as the health and wellness. This is physical fitness, but it also speaks to your routines being shaken up a little bit. How do you adjust? How do you adjust to disruptions to your health and wellness? How do you adjust to disruption to your routine? What does that look like? Oh, I'm gonna wake up at 4. I'm gonna wake up at 4. I'm gonna wake up at 4. Up. I'm waking up at 4 and someone's in the way in the doorway. I'm trying to get to my yoga mat. Someone's in the way. I can't do it. I'm stuck. How do you improvise? Do you get a blanket and do your yoga in another room? Like, you know what I'm saying? How do you handle that disruption? So you can maintain your peace of mind with that. You know, you might be secure if you were going through that wall, but there's someone who's blocking the way, right? So there's that little twist there. The moon in Capricorn adds a little flair of comes back to valuing yourself, values, valuing what? Valuing structure, valuing being graceful with yourself in regards to the fact that you did something. Even if you didn't get to the yoga mat, right? Because the doorway's blocked, you got a blanket or you sat in a chair and you're like, okay, I'm gonna treat this as the time. I'm gonna go through a little script for myself, and treat this as a time. It's different. I wasn't laying on my yoga mat, but I sat in the chair and I still took the time. That's what that looks like. Scorpio. And and in addition to that, if I incorporate Saturn and Pisces here, that secures the foundation, right? You value yourself because you're honoring the time that you set for yourself, right? That's how to handle the disruptions with your routines and your health a little bit there. Scorpio. Yes, Scorpio's here, right? We just talked about the moon in Scorpio. This is Scorpio. I assume you're a sun in Scorpio. I assume, right? The sun in Aquarius has to do with the foundation, family matters, your roots, your emotional base, quite simply. Uranus and Taurus kind of speaks to your relationships, right? There's a lot with negotiations and agreements and working with disruption in said contract, whether it be on paper or verbal contract for Scorpio. This new moon that's coming up in Aquarius speaks volumes to the inner dialogue and your ability to be grounded for real. Aquarius sun, happy birthday. Aquarius sun, happy birthday again, right? Pluto, transformative. Mars, exciting, enthused, energetic. Sun, right? The moon in Capricorn highlights your need for rest. What does that look like? It doesn't necessarily mean going to bed, but it does mean drawing back a little bit. Capricorn is a reserved sign. It's a negative sign, not negative like bad, negative energy bad, but negative like introspective, where we introspect. We look at some of the things that we'd like to improve, right? I would like another day today, tomorrow, Valentine's Day. It's interesting that the moon is in Capricorn on Valentine's Day. It kind of speaks volumes to like take your time, and be patient a little bit. Capricorn is a sign of patience. If you can, be patient. I find it challenging sometimes, but I still do my best to be patient, especially when the desires are at a climatic degree and level and plateau, right? For Aquarius is Taurus is your foundation. It's the home life, it's the living. How do you handle disruption in the home? Is that how do you handle disruption of the things that you're secure that secure you in your place of dwelling? Look at that piece there. Look at that. One of the benefits or one of the messages that could be interpreted from what I read is focusing on your foundation and being adaptable to disruptions and drawing back to look at the bigger picture. Notice how Capricorn is the goat. The goat climbs the mountain, kind of looks down into the valley. If the goat was a person, it would be a surveyor. It would be a surveyor of the land. Benjamin Banneker, a land surveyor, right? Survey the land. Look what it is that we need. If we're going to build a building here, what obstacles will we come into? What benefits do we have? What supports us? What deports us? You know what I'm saying? And again, it points to values too. Taurus is the sign of values, but also you can look at how Saturn for the past 2 years, it's been a focus on being a little bit more serious about valuing yourself, not for nothing. What do I think about this odd coincidence? Very eerie of me. What coincidence do you speak of? Elaborate. You're a Cancer. Wonderful. Cancer is here. The zodiac sign Cancer is here. The protector, the nurturer. It's a water sign, emotional, feeling based, protective, quite simply the sign of security. Aquarius is an air sign. So that relationship there by itself, Cancer and Aquarius, it shakes Aquarius, it shakes Cancer up a little bit. There's a disruption there, a little bit more in your mind, a little bit, which is okay. It's not okay when when you allow it to stress you out. You know, when the sun is in Aquarius for Cancers, it's more important to pay attention to your nervous system and get the regulation. Not only for Cancers, for everybody. When the sun is in an air sign, it highlights and amplifies the need for, um, I think, for the regulation of the nervous system because the nervous system has to do directly connected to our nerves and our thinking processes. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, right? Well, for Cancer, this is actually a Cancer chart because Cancer is rising. We can look at that for Cancer rising and Sun in Cancer as well. It puts Taurus in the 11th house, right? It connects how you feel, how to say this? It connects your goals, your dreams, and your visions, right? That you have for yourself moving forward, and how others play their role in that dream and the vision. How other people fit in. You know what I'm saying? It's like a weighing and measuring. Like, is this individual worth it? Should I incorporate them into my goal or what? Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's that dynamic kind of activated, highlighted. You know, this time of the year, the past 3 weeks reactivates Saturn as well. Not only your goals with the need to set goals for yourself, but also reactivates um, your learning, your accumulated learning, looking back like, oh, wow, I knew that. You know, I didn't see it like this, but now I see it. And not beating yourself up for the wisdom that you had prior to you being in the situation that you're in. It's heavy, right? The moon in excuse me, the moon in Capricorn, right, is a direct mirror to you, actually. You know, it gives the energetic of do unto others as you like done unto you, not for nothing. Excuse me. And the moon, which can be interpreted as a celestial body that symbolizes a need for reflection, right? The moon is, we consider it a planet, but the moon has to do with the nocturnal behavior and nocturnal actions and knowledge that we receive from the nocturnal, layman's terms, night, right? And night is associated with darkness, and in the darkness, we can associate rest, and we can associate like stillness, quiet, you know, a stillness and a rest, quietness and observation on relationships, right? How stable are they? You know, what is it worth? Again, it brings the worth word back in there in that Capricorn. Just by the moon being in Capricorn, it automatically highlights Taurus and Virgo too. So we can incorporate that into the mix too. You see what I'm saying? So goals is the biggest thing though for cancers. Setting goals for yourself. Okay. How can I handle my emotions? I would say to, consult your primary care physician, right? What I've been working on, I share with you what I've been working on to control my emotions to the best of my ability is I've been activating um, the parasympathetic nervous system through fluids, right? Warm fluids. That's why you usually see me. That's one way that automatically activates the vagus nerve. Look it up. Don't believe anything that I'm saying. Check it out for yourself. I thought that that was one way. I recognize that it helped me. a little bit. It helps with rest and digest and calm the nervous system. Breathing, intentional breathing, intentionally inhaling for longer, more seconds, intentionally exhaling for longer seconds. That's how you can handle emotions, right? Aromatherapy, smell some cinnamon, smell some spices, some herbs, go to your spice cabinet, right? Activate the sense of smell. That activates parasympathetic nervous system. Um, Walks, showers, steam rooms, all kinds of things. Movement, staying, moving. I noticed that when I'm depressed or I've experienced states of depression, the one way that it lasts is by me staying in one spot. So if I'm in my bedroom for like 6 hours, the depression maintains a constant. I'm crying. Oh no. Oh God. So as opposed to me saying, okay, come on, let me snap out of this, get up. Reminds me of the movie The Matrix when Trinity jumped off the building and she dove into the window and the agent was behind her and she was like, she had a little fear. She had a little fear because she knew the agent was strong. She had her strap drawn. She was like, get up, Trinity. Get up, Trinity. And they didn't finish. They didn't put all of it, but they were like, get up, Trinity. You don't gotta lay there like that. Get your ass up. Get your ass up. Stop being scared. Stop being a being. Come on. Right? Get up, Trinity. She got up and she made it to the phone booth just before the agent was about to crush her with the truck. Right? What time do I start doing readings? I start doing readings on Sundays. I call it deep dive donation based interpretations. But for the next 90 days or so, I'm going to be doing little interpretations of looking at the chart, sharing a little tidbit about the chart, about the transits, doing some demonstrations, miniature demonstrations, tidbits, flowing. And that is included, some health and wellness is included in there. You know, some of my life experiences with the chart, which I'm of the mind that could be beneficial. It's helpful. If it's helpful for you. And if it's not helpful for you, it comes back to me. It's helpful for me. Because I found out through my research that just by explaining or teaching, when someone teaches, they're actually relearning. Respectfully and with love, this is the best of judgment to come out of it. Jasmine, I appreciate you saying that, you know, and it is a fine line. It's a fine line. It takes the ability to reflect, you know, and to maintain. It's like walking on a thin thread, right? You can easily get knocked off the thread. And this is where the divisiveness, this is where the judgment comes in. So I hear you. Tinnitus is activated. I appreciate that comment. Thank you for the reminder. And that there, I'll take that, right? And do a little more checking and scanning of myself. It's like a parent who has a baby around, it's constantly checking, where are you? Hey, where are you? Where are you? Checking myself. Hey, hey, shh, get back on course, right? Don't be divisive. What's the opposite of divisive? Don't be so judgmental. I recognize that there's an equal and opposite reaction to it, and that that's not something that there's other parts that we can learn from that. I appreciate that. Divisive. The word divide is in the word divisive. Div. I want to look that up real quick. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you so much. What is the root meaning of the word divisive? Dividere, be apart, and two, to separate. to force apart, to split into portions, to break unity. So in everything that we do, maybe not everything, but a lot of things that we do, we divide, we dividere. There's a dividerism in the things that we do. Thank you so much. Um, I'm a Cancer and I need help. Well, your head is messed up, or you need a doctor first. If your head is messed up, we need a doctor. I'm not a doctor. Consult your primary care physician, right? Before we even get to the astrology part of it, the way I would help you is I would collect yourself, take a couple deep breaths, regulate the nervous system, right? Don't panic. Please don't panic. Right? Got to regulate ourselves first. This Divideris Divideris system, is that accurate? Let me see if I can use. Can I use the word Divideris to describe the divisions of the zodiac signs? Oh no, I can't. I said Divideris. Here's why. Different roots. Divisions come from Latin dividere, to split apart, divide. Davis. I meant divideris. Ah, that feels like it should be a real word, but technically it isn't an established English word. Is it a Latin word? I try to mix Latin and English together. No, divideris is not a Latin word. It's actually an English style invented formation built from divide to iris, meaning full, dividere, to separate. The word divideris itself is not Latin. Divis, divisus. Okay, so when I use divisiveness, anyhow, it's divide. I forgot where I went with that. But before we even get into the zodiac chart, um, if you're stressed, this is my take on the stressed and frantic and panic. Oh, I need help. Ah, help me now, God, Lord, Jesus, help. You know, before we even get into the astrology, there's a process of regulating the nervous system is important, because getting a reading, when you're in that state, it's not really that helpful until you regulate yourself. It's bringing giving more data, honestly. What about Pisces? Pisces, if you're still here, welcome. Congratulations. There's a graduation of sorts. Today's the last day you did it. Saturn goes back into Aries. It was in Aries 6 months ago ish. Let's check. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, June, July, and August. June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February. That's 8 months ago, actually. 9 months ago. 7, 8, 9 months ago. Now we come back. It'd be beautiful to look back 7, 8, 9 months ago. Not for nothing. Or we can make some contrast things to we can recognize the contrast rather between 7, 8, 9 months ago and what we're getting ready to go into. Taking action, being held accountable. All false witchcraft. Thank you so much for that comment. I appreciate you. I would agree to disagree with you, right? I would say that this is more a calendric system, and it's the way that everybody, whether you divide, however you divide a year, um, there's a times table, there's a mathematical usage of this symbol here, the sun. We've been doing this since the beginning, measuring the apparent path of the sun, utilizing it as a tool to measure so called time. Hi, welcome in. Is this witchcraft? I would say it's not witchcraft. It's witchcraft if you're in an anxious and fearful state, and when you see the circle, you're like, "Oh, this is demonic." If you drop that and leave that, or just let's put it to the side. Don't drop it because it might be a defense mechanism. It might be something that helps you. You want to keep it. Let's just put it to the side and ask, like, what is this? Right? It's kind of like walking into the dark. Like when you walk into the dark, you're scared. You're like, is a monster gonna drag me? Is it gonna pull me? Is it gonna yank me from the shadows? You got to kind of put that to the side. No, it's just dark. I can do this. Um, Sin karate. Welcome in. Thank you so much. I appreciate that comment. You can't bring nobody into the box in here. I don't think they don't have that. Uh, that's interesting. That would be cool. That would be really cool. That would be really cool. Shards of using the metric system. Divvy, divide it. Okay, let me speed up. I'm way back in the past. All right. Um, Welcome in. Let's do a little reset. Let's do a little reset. Welcome in. If you just got here, I was talking about the sun in Aquarius, Uranus and Taurus, Saturn and Pisces. Why? Because Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius, Uranus is the modern ruler of Aquarius, and by the sun being in Aquarius, it highlights Saturn and Uranus. That there. Right. I was also recognizing how Saturn is amplified twice because the moon in Capricorn, which is the second light, the sun is the first light, the moon is the second light. Not because I want the sun and the masculine energy to be first and the feminine energy to be second. No, because the sun is the center of the solar system and the moon gets its light from the sun. There's that. But just by the moon being in Capricorn, it highlights Saturn in Pisces. So we have the sun giving light energetically. There's a transference of light to Saturn in Pisces saying compassion. There's a secondary testimony to Saturn's uh, transmission of energy in Pisces by the moon in Capricorn because Saturn rules Capricorn. Put your zodiac sign in the comments. Welcome in. Thank you for the likes, the thumbs up, subscribe if you're enjoying the content. That's an interesting concept you broke through. What if you were always in it? Ooh, bar. What if it's like a retrograded planet? You already realized that the breakthrough that you thought was a breakthrough was actually you re-entering that which you already were in. What's your zodiac sign again? Life has no meaning. Its purpose is to discover. That in itself is a meaning. That in itself is a meaning. What does it mean? Zodiac signs in the comments. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. I appreciate all of you. Subscribe if you enjoy the content. I'm interpreting symbolism of the solar system from my perspective over 2.5 decades. I also recognize that I'm also a student too. That's one thing I like about myself, that I check myself, I scan myself, I check myself before I wreck myself. But sometimes I wreck myself and I have to recalibrate. Not for nothing. Zodiac signs in the comments. I appreciate that comment. I appreciate it so much. And it's worth checking and acknowledging, being honest with yourself about how much you practice this. If you have a phone, it's being calculated for you, but you're using sun time. It's interesting to me when people say, like, you know, oh, astrology is nonsense. It's hogwash. And then when we sit down and we put our preconceived notions to the side and we talk about it with a calm parasympathetic nervous system, we actually see that we actually tell people, hey, meet me for lunch at 1 o'clock. That right there is the utilization of the sun. Time. Let's put this chart, let's put it aside for a moment. Let's put it aside. Because now when we put it aside and say, hey, what time were you born? Oh, I was born at, 3:33. Ah, ah, that's crazy, right? That's crazy now. Now we're no, time doesn't really exist. It exists when you use it. And so when we're here, we put that to the side for a moment. We're just talking about time. We're just talking about numbers. And then when we bring it back and we see that it's more than just the sun. Wow, there's more planets in the solar system. Anywho, let me go back here. Um, Scorpio, be sure to put your um that hood science is perfect. Thank you for that comment and the laugh. Scorpio's here. Symbolism, right? We could take this aside. We could put this aside for a moment. Let's look at symbolism. You wake up in the morning, you stub your toe. That's a sign. Some people would say, "Oh, God wanted me to stub my toe," and there's all kinds of different variations that we can go into. But that would symbolize, hey, wait, maybe I need to slow down, a second, right? Symbol, a sign. This symbol, what does this symbol stand for? It's an M. Oh, it's demonic. No, it's not. It's a symbol of an M with an arrow, which correlates to the zodiac sign Scorpio. It connects to the zodiac sign Scorpio, and the scorpion itself can be looked at as a symbol. How? What does a scorpion do? What does a scorpion do? We have a scorpion in the comments. It stings. I don't know if it makes the noise, but it has a tail sting that injects its prey with poison, right? Do you as a Scorpio inject prey with poison? No, but energetically, the frequencies. I know you're into frequencies. I don't know that. Possibly you're into frequencies. The frequency of the constellational or the space and sky has something similar to that energetic. And for those who are born under that, as well as the things that happen in that time, are symboled as stinging, like those in the northern latitudes. You ever notice right around Halloween, right? When the sun is going through Scorpio, how the weather changes drastically and extreme, almost like we got stung, not by a scorpion, right? But you got to use your imagination a little bit with this stuff, right? With symbolism, right? You got to use your imagination. Come on. The symbols are energy, not animals, but the animals are um, things in life that behave in specific ways at specific times of the year. That's why the animals are used because it describes the time of the year. I really appreciate um, when the moon's in Capricorn. I enjoy Capricorn, the energy of Capricorn. I enjoy the energy of Capricorn, and I'm reminded, one way in which I utilize this in my life, incorporate it, is that when a certain planetary energy, like the sun or the moon or any planet, is there, I look at it for what it's worth and what the symbolism is, and see how I can incorporate it. See how I can incorporate it into my life. YouTube, it would be awesome to be able to bring people up on stage for people to be able to um, speak their piece. That would be so awesome. That would be so awesome. It would turn the tone down in the comments. It would turn it way down. A lot of times, and that's what I was going with Capricorn. Capricorn is an energetic that reminds me to be patient. And now that, in the beginning of this year, like a month ago, starting December 21st, I recognized that it symbolized, it marked a beginning. Let me know if this is witchcraft to you. Let me know if you think this is witchcraft. On December 21st, right? The sun ingresses into Capricorn approximately. Sometimes it's the 19th, sometimes it's 20th, sometimes it's 21st, sometimes it's the 22nd. Rarely it's the 22nd. Most of the time it's the 20th, 21st, right? From the 21st to the 22nd, that 24-hour period, we have the shortest daylight. From December 22nd to December 23rd, the second day of the shortest daylight. From the 23rd to the 24th, the third day of the shortest daylight. And then on the 25th, the days begin to get longer. So it's kind of like a reset, right? From June 21st to December 21st, which encompasses the summer and the fall, we lose light. And then from December 25th, where the days begin to get longer, all the way to June 21st, the days grow. We get more daylight piece by piece by piece. Is that considered witchcraft? I don't know. You be the judge. You be the judge. I appreciate Capricorn because Capricorn reminds me to take my time or to be patient or to slow it down. Slow it down. Slow it down. But sometimes when certain topics, right, are talked about, the opposite of slowing down is speeding up with the emotions. You know, the zodiac sign that symbolizes winter is in a direct relationship with the zodiac sign that symbolizes summer. Heat, hot, when we become emotional and the feelings get to running, we get to sweating. You notice that? As opposed to when we're calm and relaxed, there's a chill, there's not much sweat. Sweat dissipates. So that's one of the things that I recognize with this charting stuff is that I would like to call them universal principles, parables, and principles automatically start appearing, kind of like your savior, spoken parables. Doctor Strange, thank you so much. I'm over here on YouTube. Come through. Appreciate you. Appreciate your comment. Pisces is a sign of healing. I see what you did there with that. That was a good one. And I would say yes. I would say yes, Pisces is a sign of healing. And let me share with you why. Let me show you why. I'm a fan of, and I've recognized that every zodiac sign is in a relationship with the zodiac sign that's exactly across from it. I have used a metaphor saying one hand wash the other, and they both wash the face. Pisces could be one hand located here. Virgo could be another hand located here. Virgo is the sign of health. Virgo is the sign of the intestines. Not for nothing. When we eat food, right, the intestines, the nutrients are absorbed from the intestines. That's not witchcraft. That's not witchcraft. This is symbolism here, but we're using this symbolism and applying it to the physiology. So if one hand washed the other, they both wash the face. When you wash the hands, they both share what each other has. So the sensitive and emotional nature of Pisces is also within Virgo. Sometimes the shadow side of Pisces, which people say toxic, it could also be and stem from the nature of Virgo. See what I'm saying? Virgo is the sign of routines. Pisces is a sign of routines. There's healing, Virgo, and having a routine sleep. Sweet Potato, good morning. How are you? I'm over here on YouTube. It looks like I'm pointing at thin air over here on TikTok, but I'm not. Thank you for the heart, me. Appreciate you. it may be beneficial with some of your ideas about Christ and religion and the matrix and all these things that we have, even me. It'll benefit me to slow down. Let today be a reminder to slow down and be patient. A beautiful day to try again. I appreciate that comment. And to acknowledge and to reflect. Like, not for nothing and for something at the same time. Everything is connected. They say it is that I can see how this could possibly be a thing. Possibly. I can see how that could possibly be a thing. I would like to connect the zodiac sign Capricorn by the moon being in Capricorn. I would like to connect Capricorn with the zodiac sign Taurus. Why? Because they're the same element. You notice they're the same color in this chart? Does anybody else notice the green? Put the word green in the comments if you can see that this is green. This is green. Capricorn green, Taurus green. You don't have Capricorn in your moon. You have the moon in Capricorn because Capricorn is a cluster of stars and or a space that the moon is in. You see the moon and then you see the constellation of Capricorn. The constellations are further out than the moon. That's what this chart shows, the planets and then the signs. If you will. Right. But I'm connecting patience, the zodiac sign patience, Capricorn of patience, symbol of, as patience, like the goat climbing and scaling the mountain to get to the top. Even if the goat goes fast, it goes fast because it has a routine, which we can utilize and connect the zodiac sign Virgo, which is also green. Do you see this green? This is Virgo green, Taurus green, Capricorn green, same elements. Be safe, the 114. That's not safe. Keep your eyes on the road. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo, they're similar. Virgo has a little Capricorn in it. It has a little Taurus in it. That's what I'm saying. Now that the moon is in Taurus, brown for Earth. Eh, I see where you're going with that. In some schools of thought, Kem, Kamau, land of the black, maybe. Is that where you're getting the brown Earth? Maybe. But no, in this system, we're using green for the grass, for the growth. Ah, green for growth. There's growth through routines, there's growth through values, and there's growth through structure. There's a connection there. Yeah, stop texting if you're traveling. Be safe. They're brown on the screen. Interesting. Um, in that case, if you see brown, then they're brown. Let Capricorn, Taurus, and Virgo be brown for you. Does anybody else see brown? Does anybody else see brown for this color here? Taurus, brown, Virgo, brown. Anybody else? Let me know. Scottish, you see brown? Okay. Um, Gemini is green. This is green to you? I would say that's blue. Maybe I'm colorblind. Brownish green? Brownish green. That's fine. Turquoise, some see turquoise, some see green. Okay, very well. I didn't even consider that. I assume that everyone would see this as green. Do you see this as red or orange? Is this red or orange? This is a fire sign. This is Leo. Reddish orange. Sag, reddish orange. Aries, reddish orange, symbolizes fire. Okay, Scottish, you see that as red, but you see this one as brown. Interesting. Interesting. Red. Okay, this is defined red, not orange. Red for fire, for sure. Leo fire, Sag fire, Aries fire. Saturn getting ready to go back into fire for action. Leo, red, Virgo, brown. Got it. Perfect. There's a joke that goes with that, but I'll save that for, later. How can you get rest? By closing your eyes and regulating your nervous system. From my perspective, consult your primary care physician. Um, but that's how I would get some rest. I don't know if that's what Red said. All right, let's get another zodiac sign so I can show a demonstration. I appreciate all the comments. Subscribe Sunday, deep dive donation based readings. You're not going to want to miss it between 11 a.m. and 3 a.m., 3 p.m. Excuse me. 3 a.m. would be a long show, wouldn't it? Whatever color that you see, that's neither here nor there. What you do see is that it's the same color as this color. This color, brown, green, brownish green. You see it's the same color as this sign here and this sign here. The point that I was making is that these are the earth sign and that they share character traits with each other. They're family members, if you will. The brightest, that's your name over here, Royal Karma? Wonderful. Thank you for letting me know that. I appreciate you. Mm. Libra. Let's look at Libra. Some see turquoise. I say blue is connected to Aquarius. Whatever color you see this color and this color the same. Libra, 5 signs away, we find Aquarius. That's the love life as well as the highlight of the children. Libra, this color and green, you see this here for Earth, finding some stability and a time for reflecting on the home front, the living quarters, and the base, the foundation, right? Libra here and Saturn and Pisces getting ready to step back into the fiery furnace, for taking action and being accountable and being more patient in relationships. You see that there. Today is a signal for that. This is the last time that Saturn will be in Pisces while the sun is in Aquarius and the moon is in Capricorn for another 30 years. The double amplification of Saturn by the sun and the moon. Kind of like both of the parents having high expectations of Saturn, right? As it shifts from one field of experience to the next, you know, goes from surrender to being a little bit more taking of charge. Libras will experience this in their relationships for the next 2.5 years, energetically. You're a Pisces, welcome, right? Pisces sun here, little graduation that you got going on here, right? With Saturn getting ready to leave or go back into Aries, taking action. Be mindful of your spending habits. I'm just saying, stay tapped in. Let me know how that goes. If you need some support, we're here for you. We got you, right? Venus is in Pisces, so it gives a little bit of fantasy surrounding your money, finances, and relationships, if you will, as well. And there's that. The sun in Aquarius over the course of the past 3 weeks, I would say there's been a focus and a highlight on your rest, you know, wakeful rest, contemplation, more intention, being more intentional about or with breathing, longer inhale, longer exhale to regulate the nervous system, not for nothing. There's also a connection to your speech patterns, how you speak, how others speak to you, and a focus there, right? What other signs do we have here? What other zodiac signs do we have in here? You're still texting and driving. What is it shifting to planetarily? Human spacesuit. Thank you so much for the double taps. Good morning. How are you? I'm over here on YouTube. Have you found me on YouTube yet? Have you found me? Not for nothing and for something at the same time. Aquarius here. Happy birthday to you. New moon coming up here, coming in hot for you, literally. Um, Mars is on fire, blazing. It's like a blazing fire. It's in the element of excuse me, it's in an element of air. Mars is there. It's enjoying itself in Aquarius. I'd like to think that Mars is enjoying itself in Aquarius, sparking off all these sparks flying around, which could be symboled as in a metaphor for ideas, lots of ideas and sparks, right? Recognizing this shift and this change within the core of your at the core, right? Brought to you by Mars and Pluto, forced change. That's what that says to me. Interesting, right? At the same time, simultaneously, there's a focus on your foundation and valuing yourself, valuing your foundations. Ooh, look at that. Security within your home life and your status with your family and your living environment. Interesting. Um, who else? What else do we got? Capricorn, happy belated birthday. The moon is in Capricorn. This is like a reset for you. This is personal. This is personal. My birthday is tomorrow. Yes. Royal Karma. Thank you so much for remembering. Capricorn is here. I say it is said, and I've recognized that when the moon is in your zodiac sign, it's a time for a reset. It brings this reset ish, if you will, according to the nature of that zodiac sign. Reset how? Reset with patience, a little more care and comfort, placing yourself in comfortable situations. If you're used to running around, being on the phone, let's put that to the side. Let's recalibrate the system a little bit, ground myself. Could be beneficial for you, especially as we approach this new moon in Aquarius around your money and your finances, grounding yourself, maybe looking at the checking account, banking account, savings account. What are some of my goals, right? Aquarius is the sign that the symbols can be interpreted as the sign of goals, if you will. Sweet Stay, thank you for the heart me. I'm over here on YouTube, same name. You put the at symbol in front of my name, squoze all the letters together, and put that in the search engine. You're gonna love it here. I'm pointing to the chart over here. I don't have the chart over here because I want you to come over here. It's a beautiful thing. All right. Headed to work, but definitely be listening. I look forward to exploring your channel. I appreciate that comment. Thank you. Come back on Sundays, deep dive donation based readings. Okay. Appreciate that. Right. What a balance. We got comments that are supportive. They're all supportive, really. The comments that are supportive and the comments that are not supportive, the comments that are not supportive are actually supportive in their own way. I've been calling it gas. I appreciate it. Rise above superstition. Here we go. We need you out here in the real world. This is the real world. This is a calendar and a clock. Real and not real at the same time. The sun, right? There's a specific time that you actually put that comment, rise above superstition. That's clocked into this record, whatever, wherever this record is kept. Who knows where this record is kept? But there is a record. There is a record I'm here with you, using the sun as a tool to measure time. Time exists and time doesn't exist until you got a job, until you need a job, until you need to make some money for your family. Now time exists. You don't want to be late for that interview. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Time doesn't exist until you need a job. Isn't that something? Leo sun, Leo here. Leo sun is here. What's interesting about Leo sun and its relationship to the sun being in Aquarius, it brings 180 degrees. That's mathematical. That's not superstition. That's not superstition. We can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? From June 21st to July 21st, approximately. July 21st is approximately the first day of Leo. From July 21st to January 21st is approximately 180 days. Is that superstition? Survey says, "Eh." No, it's not superstition. What does it create? It creates an opposition, a mathematical relationship of an opposition denoted by this line here. This line here is, if you were to take a screenshot and zoom in on this picture, it's showing it's a symbol, it's a glyph, the same way that Nassau uses symbols. Is Nassau superstition? No, it's not, but it uses some of the same symbols that we use in astrology here, right? One of the reasons the benefits is slowing down a little bit before you get to talking. Sometimes I just get to talking. I got to slow down a little bit. Moving forward, Leo, sun here. If your sun is in Leo here, right? Energetically, astrologically, we can interpret the sun in Aquarius in a relationship with each other. And quite simply, there's a focus on Leo's relationships more so with independence and freedom, themes surrounding independence and freedom. There may be a little turbulence. Mars there, not for nothing. What does this mean? There's a little fire, a little sparks flying. If you're a Leo and you're not in a relationship, let's say you're not in a relationship, which I disagree. I think that we're always either in a relationship, um, even if we're coming out, going into a relationship. Even when what I'm trying to say is that even when you're not in a relationship, there's a replaying of the tape of the last relationship. There's a replay, and so there's realizations that come. Oh, that happened. This is what I want. This is not what I want. You know what I'm saying? That's what I recognize. And even if you don't think about it and you don't process it, then it still plays a role in your life moving forward into the next relationship. Not for nothing. Okay. Um, Aquarius help. When people make comments like, "Oh, I need help. Or I'm drowning. I'm help. God, Jesus, please, Noah." That makes me it's a trigger, right? Or a marker. Excuse me, I just clicked on itself. It's a trigger or it's a marker that says, "Hey, whoa, we need to slow down a little bit. We need to take this away. We need to leave this for a moment. We need to take the astrology out of it. We don't want to bring too much data for you. You know, that should be a red flag or a yellow flag on the plate. 15-yard penalty, right? Not that it's a bad thing, not that it's a good thing, but it's something that's recognized that we need to focus on regulating the system. We need to regulate for a moment. We need to take a deep breath. We need to collect ourselves. Muy importante. Muy importante. In English, very important. Collect yourself. First. It's the first thing you need to do. And it's your birthday too. And it's your birthday. Turbulent. Mars. Look at Mars here. Mars is the planet that gets considered the god of war. Does it mean that wherever Mars is placed that you go to war? Maybe not. Maybe not war. War and the behaviors in war, like fast heart rate. In war, you have tools to defend yourself, right? So wherever Mars is, it might be a place where you defend what you're willing to defend. Mars in Aquarius is the willingness, a willingness to defend knowledge and truth. Where's your Mars? What are you willing to defend? It depends. It depends. When you say you know astrology isn't real, it depends though. It depends. Like what part isn't real? What part isn't real? If we go on the notion that um all truths are half truths, that philosophy, then you're 100% right and you're 100% wrong. The stars are not anywhere near each other. Okay, let's take this away for a minute. You see the symbol here? Do you see the symbol here? YouTube, you got to have an option for people to come up and talk. It'll take the tone right out of their comments. Let's take this out. Let's leave this to the side for the moment. Does everybody here if you use if you have a phone, you're on a phone right now. Do you utilize the clock that's in the top corner, either the left or right? I don't know, Android, iPhone, flip phone, whatever phone do you have? Do you utilize the time? Um Christian, I'm speaking to you. Christian Buster, that's hilarious. Do you use the time on your phone? Yes or no? You were born during a solar eclipse? Oh, that's powerful. Which one? What year? 1999? Do you use the time on your phone? See or no? Okay, time. Yes. Miss Cree, good morning. How are you? Welcome. The 114, let people be who they're going to be. Um everybody is who they are. They're where they are. I'm learning to appreciate everybody for where they are and what they are. It's fine. It's when I attach to it and I take it personal is when there's something wrong with me, right? But everybody has a right to their opinion, and I have a right to learn from the experience. What comes to mind at this point is asking this individual, do they use the time on their phone? What about my time on my phone? So the time that you use on your phone is not real. Are we on the same page with that? It's based off an apparent path. It's based on an apparent path of what? An apparent path of what? The sun. So 100%, I'm on the same page with you. All of this, we can wipe all of this away. We can wipe all of this away. But what we can notice is the sun. We can notice that the sun, and that from this apparent path of the sun that creates the time that's on your phone, that's on my phone, that's on everybody's phone, we still use it as its fact. That's why I said earlier, it's a fine line. It's a fine line. We can teeter. We can teeter to one side and then get comfortable. Time is relative. Does the apparent path of the sun create seasons? In relation to the tilt of the Earth's axis, does it create seasons? Question mark. Time is relative to the speed of light, and does the apparent path of the sun, which is at a certain speed and at a certain light, does it create seasons? Do you interpret the weather and the temperature as a certain meaning, and does it guide your life? What I mean is, when it's raining, when you look at your phone and it says it's raining, do you put a raincoat on? If it's sunny, if it's 130 degrees, do you wear shorts or do you keep wearing slacks? What's my point is that even though if an apparent path and time doesn't exist, you still engage in it and it still has symbolism that applies to your life on the planet. That's my point. So, what are we talking about here? All of that is an impact by the sun. We haven't even gotten into the moon yet. It has nothing to do with the closeness and the proximity of planets. And the type of astrology that I do tropical astrology, which is based off the seasons. I don't even care too much about the stars that are in the constellation because I'm working with spaces of time and the sun because I can see with my physical eyes birds like clockwork flying in a V shape around the fall time, Thanksgiving fall time. There's a lot more going on than that. And so this brings me to this symbol here. Because what I've done and what I do is I plot my experiences into this chart here, this base 12 chart, drop my experiences in it, or I drop my experiences into the seasons of a year and correlate them. And I appreciate the memory, the reminder of these cycles, right? Like if you live in a neighborhood where you have a group of 7 kids, right? They're riding their bikes, and every 7 days they come and they kick down your garbage cans, kick down your garbage cans, kick down your garbage cans, kick down your garbage cans. After a while, you're gonna be like, "Whoa, I'm starting to see a pattern here. I'm starting to see a pattern here." The position of the stars has changed over time. 100% fine with that. Again, I'm not talking about, and this that I'm practicing has nothing to do with the constellations. It has to do with the spaces and its relation to the sun and the planets that are in the solar system. Each one of these planets has a cycle that orbits the sun, almost like the sun holds it all together. You're talking about that which is outside of it, which is fine. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. But come back, come closer to the solar system that we're living in. Right. See, your reference point is the constellations. You're outside of the solar system, which is fine. I appreciate this symbolism here. I appreciate that I can look at this and I know that this is accurate because I've actually measured this chart and have gone outside and seen the relationship that the sun and the moon are to one another. And to know that this is a factual degree and distance. Symbolism. Christ is King Sagittarius. Nicholas, I appreciate you. Right? This is your Christ and King right here, symbolized quite simply. This is Christ, the Son, and the 12 disciples, and the journey of the Son is what you practice. Sagittarius, where is it? Here, here. This is Sagittarius here. Christ was in Sagittarius approximately 90 days ago. Our brains are pattern seeking. I'm so glad that you recognize that because my brain enjoys this pattern and sequencing, and it loves and it enjoys how it correlates to the seasons. Scorpio is the sign of intensity. Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius are the sign of the fall. In that 90-day period, right? We see the sun, we see the days are equal, Libra. We see the temperature drastically change, Scorpio, and then we have like an adaptable cold days, hot days, cold days, hot days, cold days, hot days, cold days, hot days until we get the cold of Capricorn to the shorter days of Capricorn. It's a pattern. The same way that you use a pattern of the parent path of the sun to tell you time when you have to go to your interview, or when you say it's time to look up some more solar systemic connections to astrology and what the guy on YouTube was talking about. Same thing. All right. I loved this talking about Aquarius, which I interpret from my lens as a sign of symbolism of truth, right? And I also recognize and learned here today that I benefit when I'm patient with those who are for what I do, as well as those who are not with what I do. And it's not for me to get emotional about it. Maintain a business and or a structured mindset, which I'm going to carry with me today. Astrology isn't a science. Nope, it's not. You're 100%. It's actually a pseudoscience. You're 100% correct. Thank you for the comment. Right? Although we have zodiacs all over the planet, it's considered a pseudoscience. I'm totally fine with that. What is a science, though? Telling time is a science that's based off the apparent path of the sun. That's a science. The seasons are a constant. They're a constant, right? There's kind of we can get you can almost guarantee you're guaranteed between June 21st and September 21st to experience some scorching temperatures. From June 21st to September 21st, actually on June 21st, 22nd, 23rd, if you were to take your timer and clock the moment when the sun rises to the moment that the sun sets, you're guaranteed to experience the longest day of sun. If you were to take your clock, your timer out, and you were to calculate how many light hours we have on December 21st to December 25th, you'd see that it's the shortest. And those two are exactly 180 degrees apart, which is why we use the circle to demonstrate that symbolism of an action that we see that is created by the apparent path of the sun. We can get into that too, right? We can get into that too. We can get into the 10th month and December and December being the 12th, but DC meaning 10 and all that. But what doesn't take away if you add names, if you put Augustus Caesar as the Leo season, and you know what I'm saying, and you want to put Julius as September and September really means six, and all of that change and mix this thing all up, you're still guaranteed. We can call June 21st, we can call it supercalifragilisticexpialidocious day. It's still going to be a time period where the sun, if we get our timer out, has the longest days. We can call December 21st to December 25th. Don't even call it Capricorn. We can call it non-supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. And when December 21st comes, we would see that we still would experience the shortest days if we get out our timer. My point is, what am I trying to say? I don't care what you call it. This thing here is still going to create this constant. And I'll see you in the next video.